Hey everyone, today we're going to learn a JavaScript snippet that allows you to pull the date and time, and then using that, you could adjust things inside of Articulate Storyline 360. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back. If you haven't checked out my website already, go ahead and check out my website at learningdojo.ninja. Here you can check out all previous blog posts, everything covering Camtasia, Articulate Storyline 360, XAPI, and more. You can also download templates under the templates section for Articulate Storyline 360, as well as XAPI and video. And then finally, you can get full courses, everything from A to Z, covering topics on Articulate Storyline 360, Adobe Captivate, XAPI Fundamentals, Articulate Rise, Custom SCORM, and HTML5 video. Now, today we're going to be using a JavaScript snippet that you can find in the description or below the video here. That all you have to do is copy and paste, and then you could go ahead and adjust things inside of Articulate Storyline. Now, an important concept to know before we get started here is how you can work with external JavaScript when you're figuring something out like the date and the time, and you want to communicate that back to Articulate Storyline. Well, you have to be familiar with getting and setting. Let's say, for example, we have our Cooking 101 course. Variables themselves are information that we can store inside of almost like a database inside of the course itself. And it's kind of just like a local database, basically. Now, we can, inside of our external JavaScript, we can go in and we can get information. We can get a variable value to begin with. We can work with it inside of JavaScript, and then we can push it back. So the getting allows us to store that information inside of an external JavaScript file. And then when we are ready to push it back, that is something called setting. We set the information back to Articulate Storyline 360. And then if it's stored inside of a variable, that value is changed somewhere. So that is an important concept to know because we have to get the information if we're going to get like the default value of a variable, but then we have to set that information in order for Storyline to know about it. And I'm going to copy and paste this code snippet, but I'm going to walk you through exactly what it's doing so you can actually take advantage of it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I have so far inside of this example. So I have this simple page. It's just showing a regular image. We have today's date right here, and this is a variable called today's date. We're going to grab the information using JavaScript of the dates, the month, the day, and the year, and we're going to display it right there. Not only that, we're also going to adjust the background image here. I have a couple different variables, and based on the months that I can get back, I'm going to change it to either October, November, or December. So what I have over here is a simple changed state of the background to October if the month, and so the month is the variable that I'm going to store the number of the month, if the month is equal to 10, or if the month is equal to 11, or if the month is equal to 12. And so automatically I can take information that's coming back from JavaScript and I can update the information right there. So what I'm going to do is on this button right here is I'm going to add a get JavaScript because we want to, this is like a typical JavaScript thing. We can get the date and the time and we can get that information and store it back inside of Storyline. So here's my execute JavaScript and here's my JavaScript window. Now I'm going to pull up this code, which is below your video here. And I'm just going to copy this code and paste it into Storyline right here. So there is my code. And let me walk you through what this is doing. It's grabbing some information, it's placing it inside of different variables, and it is working with that information later. So let's go ahead and first of all, just look at all the data that's being grabbed here. So first of all, we're just grabbing the current time. Now this is a simple JavaScript command of new date. That basically says, hey, go into the computer system and get the current time and the date from the computer. JavaScript can do that. It has, that information is stored pretty complex. So we can grab and extract information from there. And so right here, we're creating another variable called month. And we're saying, hey, current time, get us the month. We just want to know what the month is. Now, when it comes back, it's going to give us an array. That array starts, any array inside of JavaScript starts at 0. Like the position, it basically grabs the information and it places all of the different content into different positions. Well, the first position in array is actually the value of 0. So it's going to take January and it's going to place it in that position of 0. So when we want to get that information back and we say, hey, give us the current month, if it's January, it's going to come back as 0. We want to display that a little bit better. So what we're doing is we're adding on a +1. So now January will become 1, February will become 2, and so forth. So that takes a little bit of getting used to wrapping your head around that when you get back this array, the information is always starting at 0. So it's going to place that, all the months possible into that array. And we're just going to add 1 to it. So now it's going to give us back the month and it's going to be in the correct format here. The next thing is we're going to get the date and the day specifically. So we're get date is the exact day that it is. And so right now I'm filming this on November 2nd. And so it will actually come back as 2nd. And then the next thing is from this current time, we can also get the full year. So the full year, there's other options that you can do if you just want to do like the last 2 digits or so forth. But I want to have the full year come back. And we're storing all those inside of separate variables. So now what we need to do is we need to put it together. Now, putting it together is when you're grabbing one value and another value and you're putting it together, that is actually called concatenation. So you're going to concatenate this value and you're going to place it here, along with slashes in between each of those values, because that's typically what a date looks like. It will have the month slash day slash year, at least in America. I mean, no, I know that's in other locations in the world it may be a little bit different. So you may have to format it a little bit differently here. So we're going to take the month and then we're going to concatenate. That's what this plus is. We're going to add to a string of just the slash, and then we're going to add the day. So we're taking the day and then we're going to add a slash, and then we're adding a year. So we've done this, and if I was to alert this or just show this back using regular JavaScript, it would come back as the regular day. The problem though with Storyline and JavaScript is Storyline doesn't know about the changes. So what we have to do, we haven't really gotten anything. We didn't do the get because we didn't need any default value to begin with from Storyline. But what we need to do is set. So we need to push the information back to Storyline. The way that you do this is inside of this first line of code is we're going to talk to the Storyline player. So instead of just typing in this get player every single time, I'm just by this one line of code, which probably doesn't make sense for just one line of code, but that's just habit here, is we're going to say the player, and then it's going to say get player. Now we're talking to the Storyline player. That's all that line of code is doing. This next line of code is saying, hey, player, we're going to set the variable. So set var is really what this is doing here. And what variable are we going to set? Well, this depends on what variable you've created inside of Articulate Storyline. And it needs to be in quotes. And so in this case, we created a variable before called today's date. Remember that that's what we're displaying right here. So it needs to be exactly how you typed it. If you're using camel case, if you're just used one word, it needs to be exactly how you typed it there. Then it needs to have a comma. And then it's basically whatever value that we're going to push into that variable. So in this case, we created this date string. That is basically taking all those separate values, putting it into one string, and then we're going to push that string over to this variable. That's what it's doing. But I also want to push one more thing. I have this variable called month right here. So I'm going to copy that line of code and I'm going to paste it here. And we're going to push to the variable of month, spelled exactly the same right there. We're actually going to push this variable right here, this month variable. Now that one does not need to be in quotes because it's a local variable right here. But this one does need to be in quotes, even though it's named the same thing. It needs to be in quotes because it's the Storyline variable and we're pushing in that value here. Automatically, that's all I have to do. And again, you can copy and paste it from below. But now I have a month with a value, and I have today's date with a value as well. So there's a lot that I can do here. And I'm just doing a simple example of changing the background. Now I can do this when the page loads. It doesn't have to be on a button click. You can adjust that to be on the page load, so it just happens automatically. Well, let's go ahead and preview this. In order to see anything that you have with custom JavaScript, you do need to publish it out inside of Articulate Storyline. It doesn't run custom JavaScript in the preview window inside of Storyline. So that is one extra step. Doesn't take long. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this out. All right, so I do have my published file here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on story.html. It's going to pull up this first page. We have not gotten the dates. So that's why you see no variable here, because I did not store a default information for that variable. And that's also why you don't see this image has changed. So I'm going to go ahead and click on get date. You can see that now it's November, so it's changed to November. If it was October, it would change to October, or December as well. So there's my full date, month 11/2 and 2022. Just with that, you can just go ahead and have this kind of pop up automatically. I want to show you that real quick too. So let's go in and change this. Instead of when user clicks, let's have this when the page loads. Now, events is really important. If you're not working with different types of events in Storyline, take my course, because we dive into different types of events. And it's really powerful, the types of things that you can do when you're working with the events. So instead of user clicks, we're going to go ahead and say timeline starts. As soon as the page loads, go ahead and run that code. And it happens lightning fast. So there's really not anything extra that I need to do. One thing, in order to view the changes, I like to delete my previous file, make sure that I've closed the tab as well, and come over here and hit publish again. So now as soon as the timeline starts, it should show. So I can double click on this folder, go ahead and double click on this story.html file, and it's happened automatically. Even before I didn't see it change, before anything could actually happen, it ran the code. And now any page that I go to, it will pull that date and time. So it's a local, we've stored that inside of our little database that we have here inside of Storyline, and that information can be used throughout the course. So that's just one little thing that I wanted to show you. I'm going to be covering a lot more JavaScript snippets and how you can work with those snippets. So if you want to check that out, make sure that you go to my YouTube channel, you hit the like button. That really helps out my channel. You subscribe as well, so you get notified of all the different videos as they come out, and leave a comment down below. What other JavaScript or what other customizations would you like to see in future videos? But that's all that I have for today. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time.